Hey guys, yeah, 2 o'clock on a very, very red afternoon here as we get going into the final couple of hours. It is the tech end of the spectrum here, still leading the way to the downside. This is how the S&P is shaping up here at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. It's been all about these big names, and it continues to be all day long here. Meta, 2.6, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, yeah, 4.82. AMD now down 6%. It was up 2% at one point in the pre-market. If you looked at it early enough, there's Apple 1.25% ahead of tomorrow. Remember, we'll get Apple, we'll get Amazon after the close tomorrow. So more fireworks to come as far as tech names are concerned. Some of the software names specifically holding on to positive territory here. Hey, I'm looking for the positive spin. Cisco, one of those, definitely in positive territory. Reversal in the healthcare group as well. We saw all kinds of weakness early on this morning from Eli Lilly, Merck, and J&J. You can see J&J now to the upside in a reversal. Oil down today as well. XOM 1.7, 2% down here for CVX. We got the inventory numbers at 10:30 this morning. They actually came out with a bigger draw than expected, but not much love right across the board on the buy side for anything. Resume the sell-off, I guess, or the pullback for Tesla shares, 2.6% negative territory here. Some of the retail names still holding on to positive territory. Walmart specifically. Costco was green. It's now red. Same story for the discretionary names. Some green remaining. However, that's about it when it comes to the overall market. If you missed it this morning, yeah, Fitch downgrading its rating of U.S. Treasuries and debt across the board from AAA to AA+. That kind of kicked things off in the pre-market. If I zoom out a little bit on the cues here, you can see the gap to the downside was caused by that. Yes, Tesla is also being dragged to the downside along with everything else in this group. Because of that, we did actually go positive right out of the gate this morning before things quickly turned back to the downside. Benzinga bringing you all the information once again today. Shout out to them. Take advantage of that. Bottom of the screen right now, guys. 50% off for life. They will never increase the rate once you sign up for that. There is one caveat. There's only 100 available. So go right now, hit that QR code, grab that. 50% off. You'll never see that again from Benzinga. And that's Benzinga Pro, the full platform right across the board. Again, QR code will get you there. Go check them out. Let's talk about a few things we were discussing to kick things off this morning if you were with us. I was trying to find, there it is, AMD. 6.7% now to the downside coming off an earnings report that, I mean, was largely better than expected. They even pointed to much higher demand for this new chip that they're going to come out with. As I mentioned, 2% to the upside to kick things off this morning, only to see things reverse and go sharply southbound, to say the least, guys. Welcome to, I was almost at Thursday. It's Wednesday still, afternoon.
This is me today, the SVB Risk Management Department, circa 2023. That's how you got to roll. Now, the good news today, is I don't have to shave my head because AMD's not going to go SSR today. So now that I've said that, watch AMD get 10% to the downside. That's the good news because I don't want to have to go to my, well, I wouldn't go to the barber. I would shave my head, but I wouldn't want to visit my barber today because he freaks out every single time the market goes down even a little bit. So if I got my haircut today, it'd be like a 2-hour haircut, trying to reassure him that you hold stocks for the long term and all that stuff. But AMD, the good news is it could have been a heck of a lot worse. I was saying you got to adhere to your stops. I tried I came in looking for dip buys, had the pre-market high, pre-market support at 119, stopped that out for a tight stop. I had the bounce off the previous close. That was right about, it was like right at 117.50, 117.60 was a close. I had the bounce here, got out, overlapping, so that was okay. And then there was the bounce off this 116 even level in front of the 115. That was the one that started working. And here's where, if I have a regret about AMD, it's this one here, because when this one starts to go on AMD, it bounces, it gives you that first push, it's like almost a dollar winner, and then it gives it up. So when that last bounce level is the third time's a charm, it tries to work, it's starting to go, I stop it out, it then consolidates, fails the exact same high, and then breaks down at what level? 115. Now, what were we saying this morning about 115? Don't worry, I didn't do it either. 115 is the Alamo. That's where if it breaks the bottom, there's not much beneath it till you go way down. So should have been a clear, that last bounce doesn't work, double top. I was able to at least get out of it and I didn't reload after that either, like no reload, stayed away from that average in and did not take the breakdown. And look at how clean it was when it gave it up at that point. So you can be right about the area of interest. Sometimes you've got to be able to join that trend and say, hey, I can get away from going into the long when that fails, but you've got to be in. I was not in the short. A little bit frustrating. And then we finally got down to underneath that 110 level into that 109. That's where I had this line drawn this morning. I said if we wick that one, I'll try to play it. Didn't really think we'd be getting to that 109, and then we did. So when we got to that, I was long in front of it, stopped out underneath. It then made a bottom here, a nice little bottom at 108 that I didn't have much conviction in. Otherwise, I'd still be in the trade. I actually took that one out when it got back into the 109. So there were some opportunities to catch bottoms, but it should have been a 115 short. There's absolutely no question about it. And I'm going to make things even worse because NVIDIA was actually a winning long, but the non-reversal on NVIDIA was, you have to be honest with yourself as a trader. This is one of the most inexcusable non-reversals. Like you thought AMD was a reverse. NVIDIA got to my first support level. I tried the short, got out of it right away. It then wicked the bottom, held 450, goes right up into resistance. This is where I'm taking profit. I then trail out of it here underneath 150. It holds that double bottom, so bounces off that previous low, and then fails right back at our 450 line. That's your short entry right here. Fails the 450 line again after being a long above, breaks down. That is a tailor-made reversal short entry off of 448, and that's when it accelerates to the downside. You've got to be able to go over your trades and not just say I was up, because this made money. Like I'm up on NVIDIA today, but that doesn't matter. That is the single biggest missed opportunity. Okay, I'll show you guys RAD, and then it's the second biggest missed opportunity for me because RAD is. I'll show you RAD in like 15 minutes or so. But this was unreal how good a setup that was for the reversal that I should have had in NVIDIA. It goes down $14 from there. I'm not saying you capture $14. But you can have the levels just dead on. I would have been out in front of 440. That's what I had for support. But you get the levels right, you want to at least be able to execute better. I was stuck in dip buy mode and I got stubborn about it, and then I paid the price for that today. You want to be able to learn from your mistakes. I hope you guys can learn from mine today.
I said it was going to be a bad day for me if AMD didn't bounce. And yeah, there's a reason why my triangles aren't showing up from the morning. I'm done for the day on the live account. AMD got me too hard, so I wanted that 118, I wanted 117.50, I wanted 117, and I wanted 116, and I said if it goes below 115, it's probably dead, but why can't I just flip my mentality to the short when it goes below 115? I don't know. 115, it does a fail break, so you probably get kind of smoked on the 115 break initially, but once it gets below this wick here, it never looks back, and then, you get another $8 or whatever it is out of that. Now finally coming off the bottom at 108. That was, hopefully it shows up here. I think 107.20 actually was the low of this big consolidation since we made a move up a long, long time ago. It might not load all the way back there, but you'll have to trust me. 108 was kind of the recent, 108.60, the recent consolidation. So you got to assume that once we get back down to there, you'll eventually find a bounce somewhere, and you could probably find a way to structure a trade on that. I just didn't have any risk left by the time we got down there to try that. So sadly, don't have that. But this is not the greatest bounce after a $20 or $12 down move. You bounce like $3. You would expect, or you would hope for like a $6-ish move off that crazy down move.
It's a weak bounce.
It's a pretty weak bounce. Maybe we get higher. Maybe we get a 111 break later today or later this afternoon, but I would not be taking any kind of breakout strategy on a stock down like this at the moment. And yeah, I mean, that NVIDIA, as soon as AMD started consolidating at the low, NVIDIA did turn around. So maybe that was the way to play that bounce there. But tough to do in this crazy market. I mean, I was talking to Wayne, during the break, he said it took a couple months for the market to recover the last time it got downgraded. So maybe we're in for a rocky couple months here instead of just a buy the dip situation. But I don't know. This market's been a bit of a honey badger recently. It just doesn't care, shakes off everything. So we can probably buy up this dip tomorrow.
And the nickname, Wayne's nickname on the floor, I believe, is Wayne the Brain.
Oh yeah.
So you more or less want to listen to what he says.
You do.
Just be aware, Jamie Dimon, the man himself, is on CNBC currently making some comments about the overall economy. So, I mean, the market's not really reacting, but just be aware. Pinterest on the list this morning as well. We got this move up to 29 initially. This is a 5-minute chart, so it doesn't really show the story. We do get below the pre-market lows, and then it comes right back in. So, bit of a nothing day, really, coming off earnings. And I mean, it was all about that growth aspect. Once again, they were pointing towards the forecast, or analysts anyways, pointing towards the forecast for profitability, just not there, even though everything else seemed okay.
Yeah, they grew their monthly active users by 8% year over year. They did good with respect to digital ad sales, echoing Meta and Google. And they also cost cut as well. They were able to, sadly, lay off some employees and make more consolidations. Also, Brendo, they threw in AI. They said our products, they're leveraging the next-gen AI on our products, and we're seeing profound impact in our ad capabilities.
Wow, that's a lot of ad capabilities. He is making, Jamie Dimon making comments about the Fed currently, so we are starting to see a little bit of selling coming back in. Just be aware, guys.
What's Jeremy saying? Jeremy, yes, Neil. Yeah, I have to. Like, if you're just tuning in for the first time, it's a bit of an inside joke on the show. It wasn't me that made the mistake of calling Jamie Dimon Jeremy by accident, but like if you speak long enough live, you're going to make some brain farts every now and then. So I'm not going to call out the person that was consistently calling Jamie Dimon Jeremy Dimon on this program, but I will then now say it over and over again just for a little bit of fun. Pinterest is a little bit of a frustrate. There's a few short setups that you'll rewind to the morning show. I'm like, the firm's a short, I didn't get it. It'll happen to you. I thought a firm was an obvious short, and I didn't get that one, but there's always a couple out there. Coinbase was probably missed opportunity as well. And Pinterest, I just felt like it had rejected that 30 breakout, and the previous local high was just above the 29 into 29.30. So you can see it started to go. It was going off of the open, made the run, made the 29 break. It's like, yeah, it's going to get up there. It's going to get up to that local high. It doesn't go, and that was one little wick, and then, like everything else in the market, it fell. You had to be so quick to jump into that short. Like, typically at 9:30, I want things to set up. Like, I'm looking for, show me that entry point in the range where we're going to have that good risk to reward. There was no chance for that in the short. You had to get in early, or you had to start chasing it in there. I wasn't willing to chase it on Pinterest. I feel pretty confident that the range on Pinterest usually holds. So I was looking for something once it broke 27. I was looking for it to hold into the 50 period. It never actually even broke 27. So a bit of a boring stock that gave you one shot at the open. Now back into CEI. Ooh, CEI might get that dollar move again. Just very quickly, because this is not on we're probably never going to talk about CEI very often. But I was in it at 6. I'm like, why am I getting it at 6 if the play's off 1? So I stopped that out at 3 just to get back in 3 and try and hold it back into the $1 level. I should have been in here. Story of the day. Like, timing is everything. I went to Smile Direct, breaking a 90-cent channel at the same time when I could have just punched long 101 on C3I into the high of the day. Instead, I'm looking for the breakout play into 110, which has been a really good level on CEI. So it's held the dollar back and forth. I'm looking for it to hold this afternoon. A little bit of a better entry price here at 3 than when I was in at 6 and didn't like it too much. So you'll see that probably pop in and out. Pinterest, I don't think we trade this afternoon.
No, I doubt we trade it this afternoon. I did like the idea of shorting above 29 into 29.30, but I don't know. There was a whole lot going on this morning, so didn't do that. This 27.50 looked like it was a solid breakdown spot, but again, that just kind of wicks you out of the trade. I guess just an inside day, down 4% on Pinterest. Not a whole lot of opportunity. I mean, the breakdown price was 27.50. That failed. The breakout price was 29-ish. That failed. If you had the range kind of idea today, you would have absolutely smoked this name. from 29 all the way down, does the whole range. But yeah, really not a whole lot there today. And on an earnings day, only doing 13 million of volume for a $27 stock is really not a whole lot. So I guess not so many people interested in that one when you got AMD doing 140 million on the day today.
Let's go on to Xpeng here. A number of things to know about as we kicked off the morning. We were discussing this Volkswagen story. If you missed it this morning, it was actually Chinese media that came out and reported that Volkswagen is also talking to a company called Leap Motors about bringing the Jetta brand to the Chinese market instead of, if you remember, the deal that they had with Xpeng was to develop 2 different models to go into China, and they were just going to put the Volkswagen badge on it. So there was that. A couple of analyst moves as well, mostly negative, obviously. And then JP Morgan, speaking of Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan comes out and cuts their position in Xpeng in Hong Kong from, I think it was about 6.1% down to 5.8%. So that seemed to, I mean, Xpeng shares in Hong Kong, I read this morning, were down like 9% by the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's a third straight day, Brendo, we've been down. In addition to the news headline that Brendo just mentioned, one of their executives, the one responsible for the autonomous driving sector, also resigned today. He's going to be replaced. His successor saying that he's going to be knee-deep in the autonomous driving sector. So we'll see what this does the rest of the week.
There's so many jokes there, but we'll let it go. Just a note as well, Roblox, trying to make a move here back to the upside. There's a couple of volume alerts that just went off there, just a heads up. Still 5% for that one today as well.
No, I'm guessing that's like a dark pool wick, and Roblox didn't go to 39.50. But just before we get to Xpeng, I want to point out the futures where we're at, because I'm in Apple right now and I have a short in Roku. But if we're at 15.5, which was a key support area, this is a 15-minute chart in the futures. This is the last couple of weeks on the NASDAQ. That was a support level. With 15.9 was the top and 15.5 was the bottom. So reclaiming this is kind of a big deal. If we get back above there, there's a chance that the market can make a bit of a bounce. I mean, it's already made a bit of a bounce, but a real bounce has to carry through there. We're 2% to the downside. So I want to try to hang on to Apple through this. I'm hesitant to reload a Roku short unless we get back underneath, because I don't want the market just rallying on me like that. Xpeng was, oddly enough, the cleanest. Just break out the pre-market high, dip to the previous breakout, and it goes right to the same top. Structurally speaking, this was about as easy as it gets for a technical trade. I just didn't really see any reason to be in it in the middle of the range. And I'll show you, it ends up being wrong not to take the long on it, but it was just kind of in the middle of the gap. And the same thing happened down around 17. I probably am in this trade, but it was in the middle. I didn't want to diddle in the middle, as they say. I wanted to break 18 and go short sell restricted. It never did. And of course, the thing that doesn't break down is probably the thing that's going to be strong on the day. And I know it's down 5%. Sometimes that's a little bit misleading. Sometimes I really don't like that. What is it up or down on the day to the previous close? Like, you want to have, I always have 2 columns up, like what is it from the previous close, and then what is it on my quote board from the open. Like Xpeng up 3%. So if you want to, a lot of times if you're looking for relative strength, what's up since the open? NIO's up 5.7, obviously UVXY, who cares? Ape 3%, Li Auto and Xpeng, Uber 2%, that AHI squeeze, PACW, Virgin Galactic. Not a lot of things are up since the open, but it's a better way to look at it, because as a day trader, you always care about momentum maybe a little bit more than just whatever random percentage it is from that previous close. So strong day for Xpeng. Wish I could tell you I was in it. Like all Chinese ADRs, not always the best play in the afternoon, but there's a bit of a, were it to take out the top here, there is a bit of a gap that you could be filling in through 1930. I'm not necessarily sure that, sometimes NIO moves more in the afternoon. So I want to say, NIO breaking out, is it going green on the day? Or holding green on the day? Something about the NIO break feels better than the Xpeng one, because it would be going green, and it's a much stronger chart on NIO here, going all the way back up, higher highs, higher lows, into what could be a breakout after it goes green. So if I had to pick and choose between the two, I'm kind of leaning toward NEO. That said, the breakouts on Chinese ADRs in the afternoon, not always the best, but this does feel a bit better if it can climb through that high of the day, because you've had a huge kind of run to the downside into this level just yesterday.
Yeah. People in the chat talking about Tesla, so might as well just cover that. I feel like, XPEV, very, very clean, easy pre-market high kind of long setup that neither of us were thinking was going to happen. We were thinking SSR long, and maybe, you get that exact same move, but it's off of $18 instead of $18.50. Tesla today gets all the way down below 251, can't get to the key level of 250, and then you blast off from there. This is exactly what I like to see. Sadly, I wasn't there today and couldn't have this, but that 251 breaks out, holds back on the downside, and now you make the whole move back up to VWAP. We just broke VWAP right now. I kind of like the idea of being long 255 at the moment if the market's going to go, and you can kind of, it's hard to say where you give it to. Maybe you're just arbitrarily giving it 50 cents and you're looking for kind of $1.50 move up to 256.5. But Tesla definitely looking like it has made its move off the bottom, still down 2.3, given that big gap down that we had. But from the open, we're flat at the moment on Tesla. So relative to other names off of the open, this one's pretty strong. If the market's going to bounce, I could definitely see Tesla making a move at the high. But obviously, looking at NASDAQ right now, we just rejected 15.5 again. Well, we're in the process of potentially rejecting 15.5 again. I won't say that we have rejected it, but not looking great here on the NASDAQ. Not putting in any kind of significant bounce yet. So you got to be really careful on the longs. If you're long high on Tesla, you got to be, pretty tight stopped, I would say. If you're long from the bottom, I think you just hold this kind of trail stopped, maybe at 253, looking for that potential move into that 257 kind of area.
All right, let's go on to Uber. We were just, Sharif and I were sitting here discussing the validity and strength of Uber overall coming off of earnings. If you go to a daily chart, though, this is an ugly candle yesterday. Topping tail through 52, and it ends basically at day lows, down huge. But we come in this morning, and then there's endless here positive moves from analysts, and that's what we were kind of angling towards this morning when we were discussing this in the pre-market before all of this happened. Obviously, the sense that if you zoom out a little bit, even on this chart, you can see yesterday was really ugly, and then this morning we were down even further. But all these analysts are saying, hey, we're still a buy or outperform rating with a higher price target. So here we are. Uber relatively strong as we head through the afternoon.
Yeah, Brendo. They saw some headwinds. We talked about Uber Freight being kind of a headwind at the moment, but ride hailing was up 21%. Their drivers, they increased the amount of drivers they have by 33%. They also doubled their free cash flow, Brendo, from $500 million to $1 billion. And yes, their profit was very small. If you take out that one-time benefit that they got for 400 and some odd million, they only made about $8 million, but that's a lot better than they've done before. I'm really interested to see how this performs the rest of the year.
I just counted. There's 15 positive moves this morning on this list for Uber. But here we are, as I said, guys, coming into a couple of hours left in the afternoon, the market down 2%. Uber's up almost 1%.
And I think I'm right about this. Jose in the chat just saying, is Uber above the IPO price yet? I believe it was 45. I thought. I could be wrong. Someone can fact check me. Someone can fact check me on that one. I'm pretty sure it was 45, and if that's true, then yes, you are technically up. You've had a bit of a roller coaster, and you weren't always in the money if you were along this at the IPO price. I can zoom back far enough, and eventually it would tell me, but it doesn't really matter. Another frustrating one for me because I was pretty convinced that 48 was going to be a top and a resistance level. That's mostly because I had this bounce play yesterday out 47 and it could not get past 48. So we took the win into here. It couldn't stop, couldn't go further. Stopped out break even yesterday at the 47. So when it broke 47 this morning, I'm thinking 48 all day. It got pretty close. Then like everything else, the reversal was so fast at the open If you weren't already in, like this, there wasn't that much of a chance. It didn't really. If it wicks 48, I'm in the stock for sure because that's what I'm looking for. If it even gets past 47.80, I probably get into it that way too. But there's almost no chance if I'm looking for 48 to be the level that I'm getting this short here at 47.50. Not on a $50 stock. $100 stock, 50 cents, fine. Not here, and that's going to end up being a miss. But look how well it does off the pre-market low. So Uber is in the strong camp. Obviously, that has something to do with how weak it was and the sell-off already happening on it. It rejected that 52. That was a monster level on the weekly, but it's made at least a temporary bottom. It tried to make a low yesterday, broke out that same low, and has now held the bottom at 45.5. As long as you hold this 45 to 45.5 level, I think Uber's got a decent chance at stabilizing in this range and giving you some scalp trades. But that 48, I still think is going to be a problem for Uber. Just a couple of updates here because we're not going to get a chance to talk about this, and I haven't mentioned a word about Roku. As we dance at this 15.5 level, once Roku was under, Max already said this, the flat bottom break at 93-ish, kind of a loose level. Once it got underneath there, Roku was obviously a short. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I had it, but I'm looking short once it filled that gap in. It broke out from 92 underneath here. So that was at 92, was the big, massive break at the open. So when it popped into 92, this is it here. The first time, broke down through 92 after 93, consolidation. It made a bottom. Tried to break back above 92, it failed it. I had the short to the low of the day. I have not reloaded it because it felt like the market was making a bottom. I didn't want to be too aggressive, trapped at the low, but this feels pretty good. If the market cannot hold on to 15.5, I think Roku can get to $90, and I'll try to find some lower highs to work into. So I like the short under here, but I do not want to be carrying this past that 92 level.
Yeah, I really like the idea of that 90 breakdown potentially tomorrow or even today if that happens today, especially if the market decides to wick off this level, which it kind of looks like we're wicking that 15.5 again and potential downside again. Maybe the 8 ball that Parad was shaking up was correct and we see the lows again. I had to look at the Uber chart because we were talking about wanting the 44 or 45 long this morning on Uber. Never got there. But I found a clean breakout at 46.40 that supported twice, and then in the afternoon it supported twice. And you see these candles right here. The bottoms are 46.40, the closes there. The closes here are 46.40. So for whatever reason, Uber loves this 46.40 level that I'm obviously going to have to put on a chart because look at what happens today. 46.40 breaks, it's clean, goes all the way up to 47.80, and then comes back. That's exactly where it supports. It supports here again, and then in the afternoon, can you guess where the support is? 46.40. I don't know why that random level is like the craziest level on Uber, but apparently this is inflection on this stock for now, and I'm gonna have to throw that one up. I did say yesterday afternoon that if we were breaking 47, I wouldn't mind going long today. Again, didn't have that one, but it does give you like 80 or 70 cents there on a 47 break, which looks like it was probably pretty clean. That wouldn't have been a bad little trade on Uber, which doesn't typically move all that much. Obviously, after earnings, seems like it's kind of spread out a little bit. But yeah, I think holding above 47 tomorrow morning would probably be bullish for a move back into that 48, or maybe $50 before long. I mean, I didn't think that the report was that bad. I just thought it wasn't good enough to push us through like 52. But we'll see. I mean, market's down 2%, Uber's up almost 1% today. So good move for Uber. Did not get to our levels though, sadly.
Yeah, that's faster. Go to that if you can. Can you? Yeah? There it is. You can't even tell though. We're testing out a new gimbal arm. Go back up. Can you go back up? Let's see. There you go. Movement. It's like 6 inches though. So anyways. New toys being played with this afternoon. Here's Starbucks. We were talking about earnings, first off, and how after the close yesterday, $100 comes into play conveniently. And then it was, I mentioned this morning, the buy anything under 100 algo took over and made sure this thing closed at the end of the day above 100, opens this morning and holds 100. And then the same thing happened. I don't think anyone was looking at this today.
No, I didn't, and I should have been actually, because it's one of the only green names on the day after earnings. Look, they beat on the top and the bottom line. They had a tailwind. China, they did a lot better, but the headwind was higher costs back home here in North America, where they had to actually pay workers more, and new benefits plans, according to this report. So mixed bag.
There was a certain person, I will not name names, who used to work here, and she would get an Uber Starbucks brought here every single morning.
I know exactly who you're talking
It was north of $18, I think, by the time. It was a coffee. It was like, anyways. Hey, Valeria.
Yeah, but there's like Starbucks down the street. I didn't even realize that was true. I thought that was her. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I didn't realize that was an Uber that was bringing her that. We'll have to talk about it. That was an Uber? I thought that was her boyfriend. Okay. Okay. Wow, you learn something every single day. That's very strange because, again, the Starbucks is not that far from here. So anyways, if you left the morning show, you know that I was shorting Starbucks. This is Neil's frustrated face. Yeah, we had to short a few times on Starbucks today, and at one point it looked really, really, really good. That was this move to the downside. Like, it dropped. I was short. I added to. I'm like, yeah, we got it at 104.20. I'm adding to it at 103.90. Get filled at 103.30. It's like, yeah, baby, this is it. Comes right back up. I'm like, oh, you want to give me a chance to reload it? Let's go. Stopped out. Oh, it's going back down. Stopped out. And then I gave up. This is that. I gave up at 11:43. I actually, when I got up, I gave up and then I got up. I'm like, yeah, it's not going. Let's give it back to this triple top and then see if it can get back to the high. And of course, that's when it just consolidated and fell apart. So you got to be able to sort of stick with it there. It was a strong name. The reason I was pretty convinced that it was going to be a short was you just look at the daily chart. On a weekday, trying to break out through overhead resistance above that 104 level, I just felt like that was going to be some trouble. Ultimately, the buyers seemed to really, really love it and gave it a hard time for that short. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about Nikola. I'll do that. I'll let you talk about Starbucks, then we can get into some of the other names.
Yeah, that level that we broke down from on Starbucks, 103.70, which is the exact price that we were highlighting in the pre-market on the daily chart there, 103.70. So yeah, maybe you should have been just waiting for this breakdown on Starbucks today. But yeah, we think 104 is going to be the level. We think 103.70 is going to be the level it rejects. It looks like it's rejecting, but I guess just give it high of day stop, get a better price on this one. I tried the long here against VWAP. Looks like it doesn't want to hold, but huge move for Starbucks today. I did kind of want to lean short this morning if we could have done a little like fail breakout of this pre-market high kind of area at 101-ish. And it looks like it kind of did that, and I would have got a little bit smoked on that one, so thankfully did not try that. It instead fail breaks 100, which you were talking about this morning, and then absolutely skyrockets. So great move for Starbucks. Up 1% after being down 1 or 2% this morning. Is what it is.
The problem with that was we talk about these earnings plays, and then sometimes you get these runners, and it was Caterpillar. It was Caterpillar the other day. Like, as a day trader, it's not usually at the top of your list for like liquidity reasons, and then the one day you want to look at it, it's probably on earnings, and then you put a lot of things priority ahead of it.
Oh yeah.
Well, 2 days in a row, like if you just did prioritize Caterpillar, and if you just did prioritize the bounce play on Starbucks, that they both would have worked out. But that's part of trading. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I prioritize those. Let's head back to the desk because I can't wait to talk about Nikola and some of the squeeze names. But let's head back to Brendan first.
All right, rundown as always, guys, brought to you by Trade Ideas, real-time scanning and alerting used on the floor by everyone you see on the show. See what's moving in the moment. Check out the link, bottom right corner there. You can scan that QR code if you have your phone in your hand, or go to Trade Ideas. Just punch in TraderTv20 at checkout. You'll get 20% off. Shout out to Mr. Noss and everyone at Trade Ideas, as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So first, I want to get to Nikola, but at some point, I really do want to show you guys the Rite Aid chart. But Nikola, it's back above $3. That's why I want to bring it up. The last couple of times it got here yesterday, if you're tuning in yesterday, Nikola $3 was easily for me, the best trade. I know there was some, like, it was Tupperware that was moving, and Yellow Corporation was really good in the afternoon, all that other stuff. But Nikola in the pre-market off 3, and then bouncing at the open off 3, and then twice at 10 o'clock off that 3 level, you were just getting it. So many opportunities there. So I did have it a couple of times for some tight stops. It's right back here. Now, it could take out 305. I think that's a good area break. If it dips and consolidates here, which it was not really doing when I was getting it. It tried to consolidate, then I'd stop out. I still want to try the consolidation long here, but a simple 305 break into this 325, and I think rightfully so. In the chat, it was pointed out that if you look at the local high from the open yesterday, it's actually 328. So when I've been saying 325, technically speaking, that high would be about 328 that it needs to get to. Either way, that's what I think the long gets you to, which is that's enough. If you're long 05s with a 3 stop, 325, 328 is perfectly good. Even if your average out is at 15, the risk to reward sets up there. So I like the long here, and the market is trying to hold on to 15.5. It's not doing a good job. I'm pretty close to getting trailed out of Apple, but AMD, before I get to Rite Aid, I want to go to AMD. Wish I had believed in the long, because that's all the way back at VWAP. If this cannot take out, if it gets above VWAP and cannot take out this 112.5, I think you're just going right back. I think you're going into the short on this name. So I don't have a reload on Roku. I know I like that one short, but AMD, the over-under VWAP makes a lot of sense. And a chart that I have to show you, you go over the winners and the losers, but Rite Aid, I was pretty much convinced that if we failed at 280, I was going to be short on Rite Aid once it got up to that level. As you can see, I went to battle, and unfortunately for me, like, I had a tight stop short here at 250. I'm like, that's way too early. I shorted off 270. That started to work and then stopped out. Got right back in, only to stop out at the same 75 level. Then it did the move that should have been the home run. Once I'm out of it here, it wicked the top at 87, came right back underneath 80, and I had it. I was short some 79s. I was short some 72s. It had started to come down here and fill at 65. I took one film, like, I'm reloading this at 75. The second I reload it, like 1 second later, I moved my stop order away from the high of the day, down into here. Huge mistake. So I had it by the you-know-what with a stop at the top. I got greedy. I added to the position, changing my average price, and then moved my stop down. That's a cardinal sin. It's way too over-aggressive. Probably a little bit tilted from the shorts that I missed out on, and then that's a huge mistake, obviously. I was able to get back in, but I wasn't full size down here at 70, and the flush, it got to 235. This should have been an absolute home run for me. It was not, so you got to be able to. And it's all about the lesson, like this entry point there that made me move my stop from the high of the day to a lower high. Like, that's the mistake. I wanted to short. I was willing to stop out several times for small hits to be able to get back in. But once I got overly aggressive by saying, I'm just going to add here, but when I added there, it changed the profile of the trade. And it shouldn't have. Because once I did this, I wasn't comfortable with giving it to the high, which means you shouldn't add. If taking on more size changes your stop, then you shouldn't do it. Because the trade is the trade. And you cannot be adjusting your trade and your exit because of the amount of shares you have or the price you have. The market does not care. It's either working or it's not going to work. And if you start trading your net, or you start trading the size in your blotter, then you've already lost. Because you won't be able to scale your strategy, you won't be able to develop your strategy at that point. It's a huge mistake by me, because it could have been my best trade of today, and I made a very, very silly rookie mistake, and you've got to be able to own up to them. I had to show you guys this chart. We'll move on from now. Top is bullish. TTOO, what is going on with what's going on with T2 Biosystems here? Because I'm not aware of the news. I'm assuming this is just a squeeze play. Yeah, it's a penny stock, but this is really going. And I thought it had just given it up. I thought it had just given it up, and it had failed 22. It's already back underneath 20. I'm like, yeah, this story's over. Whatever it is, it's starting to come back in. But that's a bullish move back up to the high. So let's see what can happen if it takes out the top. That's 22. You have room to, that's 28 cents. That's 32 cents. So last I checked, 28 to 32, the midpoint of that is 30, and we're at 21. That's 8 pennies. That's like 40% from here to the next resistance level on TTOO. Only I have no idea. I don't know what the news is here to be taking a 22 break and stopping it out at 21 or 20. And I need to check the short float as well. Like, what's the story here?
It says that GSA Capital Partners acquires stake in T2 Biosystems. That was on the 31st. So that was what, Monday?
That's not that great.
So maybe that's something. And receives extension from NASDAQ to regain compliance.
Extension's
I
not
guess
bad.
that's good because the shorts are trying to kind of take this thing into bankruptcy, I guess.
But usually, if you get this low and you get an extension, you still probably need a reverse split. But I mean, I've seen stranger things happen. When I started my day trading journey, I graduated. I was a penny stock trader when I graduated, and that's where I started. So I traded a lot of penny stocks. So when a stock regaining compliance and making that run to $1 and playing those types of things is something I did a lot. TTOO, T2 Biosystem, just checking. It's not very heavily shorted. I think like 8% here. But a penny stock, when it wants to go, they can go. It might not matter what that float might be. So it's worth a look. This 22 could come in. It looks like it's breaking news. Good volume on it, 125 million. That's a heck of a lot better than CEI is doing. CEI's 10 million volume is 120 million, and it's a fifth of the cost. So relative volumes, at least double that.
Oh, 100 mil. Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
double
this is mullening.
It's
a little
mullening. Is that a adjective? We can say that, mullening.
Or what was that other one? Zila-ing.
Zila-ing. I like
Zila
that.
did like 1 billion shares one day or something crazy.
No,
I think.
Mullen was
Mullen
the
did 1.5, I believe.
Mullen almost broke the record for volume on the NASDAQ. Right?
Insane.
It was like it got within 10 to 15% of whatever the actual record was. I don't remember we said it the day that it happened, but I don't remember the actual number. But this is not going to do that. I mean, maybe if it continues for 2 or 3 days and builds up more volume. I'm also not sure the short interest is big enough for it to get there. But this is one of those long 22 with 1 cent worth of risk, and the next range up, like 28 to 32 is the next resistance. So you cover some at 25 if it can go. I like the volume here. I do like this setup. Mullenisms. You guys, mullenade. There's a lot of words of the day in there. A lot of word sauce for this Mullen. But this market itself is pulling back. Where's my trail on Apple? Oh, that's going to hit like any second now. Yeah, Apple's probably going to trail at any second. But my eyeballs are on this breakout at TTOO. That's the last time I'll say it right.
I finally have a short on AMD today. Sadly, it's in the simulator here, but looking good off of this 111 area. This is where we consolidated initially and got the first real bounce. I mean, I guess 116 was the first real bounce, but after really breaking down, this is the first real bounce that we got off 111. This is the kind of spot that you want to short. Once it gets working in the money, you add to it, and you're looking for continuation back down into 110 and then into that 109 price. 109 seems like it's kind of proven itself today. So unless the NASDAQ actually does take out the lows, I'm not really expecting that 109 is going to break again. So I think you take this into like 109.50 kind of area, looking for that kind of range play now. I feel that the range is probably kind of established on AMD to this point. Obviously, you take out that 111.20, 111.30, then it's not looking so good anymore. Then VWAP would be the next stop, which kind of aligns with the high of this consolidation here.
Carvana.
Oh, Carvana's going for that $50. So.
Oh. That's
once again, how many times can Carvana do this? That is the question.
One more. That's the answer. That's my answer.
I mean, my rule is always 1 time the fade is good, 2 times the fade is good, the 3rd time it's got to break the level. So, I would say we got to break 50 here.
I have that rule too. I would never, I never want to fade the same, short the same level 3 times. I just got the TTOO. I knew I was going to bungle that. It doesn't matter. You guys know what I'm talking about. You can see it there. TTOO. There we go. Got that long. I like Carvana for the break as well, and we'll maybe get to that in a second, but new position alert for me. I don't have that siren on my board. I need to get that one. Fabian, if you can let me know what the siren is so I can throw that one up when we get a new position. I want 23 to break before I take anything out. I probably want to get something out. in front of 23.5 there. I just like that 1.5 cent play. Give it to that one. If you look at the range that it just put in off of this bottom, like 19.5 to 22, like you can see that 8% or 7.5 to 8%. I can see it rejecting that to the upside on this move. I think we can get to 25 here, but I definitely want to get some out in front of 25. So we'll get some orders out just in case you press higher. Right now, it's only moved like 1 penny, which is pretty good. But given the fact I'm giving it that 1 cent, and when I looked at this on the higher time frame on the daily chart, it just felt like fill in some of this gap, and then you want to start getting some out. So there's TTOO. Let's see if we can break through 23. Then I start covering some. You just mentioned Carvana, so it's probably worth it. It's still in New York stock. Worth it to go over. We did have Carvana on the break earlier. It entered 3 times there. Yeah, got a little aggressive with Carvana. I had the long off 49. That's covering. And then that's actually covering the long, some of the long at 49. And then I added above 50 rather aggressively. A lot of times, like in the middle of the show, like if I actually make a keystroke error and take too many shares live in the show, I'm going to manage a position, then I'll let you know about it. But I did 10x up here on Carvana. I didn't treat it any differently because I had my long and I had my stop underneath 49.80. So it didn't really, like ultimately it didn't matter at that point. It's just, I'm just going to lose more on it than I wanted. But the structure of the trade didn't really change. But that was frustrating because if you don't add to Carvana up there and only play the 49, I'm not sure I dislike, I don't like the add in there, but it probably is just a nice scalp win, and then you get the out underneath break even. And suddenly, if 49 is the only thing you did, well, you're just up on the stock. Easy peasy. You get half out for $1 and you stop the rest out for just under break even, and you got yourself a winning trade. I decided to get cute and look for the absolute home run, which is adding through 50. If it takes out the high again, this does set up pretty well for another breakout trade. Zed is asking, what are my thoughts on Unity? You know what? I haven't looked at Unity in a while.
Earnings tonight.
I know. We usually talk about this when it's moving, so I'm assuming it'll be a story tomorrow. Let me just double check the float on this.
7.5.
For Unity, I always want to. Do we have the float? Show it. 9% short float. Okay, so it's still a decent short float. So I'm going to give you the weekly chart on Unity because I think that's going to tell the story. I still have this line drawn, but that's an old one on Unity. The last time I was looking for it to break this 42, I think it's a 42. No, it's a 40. It's the 45 line. It did get above 45 and then fail at 50. So this line probably, let's just throw that out. Don't really need that line anymore. Yeah, it's got some, if it can hold above 40 even, that's a great look here. That's a 50-period SMA, simple moving average. If it can break the 50, you get some squeeze potential because of the short interest. Just are you betting on squeezes after today? Those looked a heck of a lot better before the sell-off today. That's the problem. Like, do you want to be, even if there somehow gets to the 50 tomorrow, are you just looking breakout? I would have before today. I just don't really think that's the play anymore, unless we see some serious strength in the afternoon. So it's not where I would like to see it for the long. If anything, I'm a little fearful it could take out that 40 level, but you got to wait for the report. A report after the market today, and that's going to be, the proof's going to be in the pudding. You can always just wait for that. Someone asked why, like, how am I able to trade a penny stock? Well, at Day Trade the World, you can trade pretty much anything. We have direct market access. Maybe it's different at some brokers, maybe you can't trade sub-dollar names, but if you trade with Day Trade the World, as long as it's not, like, there's symbols that are blocked because of a lack of liquidity. This would not be one of them. It's done 139 million shares. I can't, off the top of my head, think of an example, but if a stock routinely does 5,000 or 10,000 shares or less than 50,000 on a day for like 3 months, it's probably blocked in our system because there's not enough liquidity to have risk management work. Outside of that, you can trade whatever you want here as long as it's listed and as long as we have it in our system. So just got some on TTOO. Thank you, everybody, for reminding me about, not reminding me, but letting me know about this stock. I had seen it make the move, and when it failed 22 and broke 20, I took it off. I put the level 2 to something else. It was actually CEI, and just started ignoring it, and it gets right back to the top for the breakout. I just got that fill 23.5. I still have an order here above 24. Might take some more out if we cannot get through this 24. I'm not at the point of tightening my stop up. That's what I do if it gets into 25. Then I go with the break-even stop. I still want to give this one a 21 and see how far it can go. But you got to take profit where it lies. Also, not to crap on CEI or anything. It's just obviously TTOO, if I'm paying attention to that a little bit closer, you're already getting a better win here. But CEI, got that dip buy. I did get the fill at 101 as well. So I got the 02 long. I should get something out in front of the high of the day in case it doesn't break. So I'm going to pop an offer in front of 6 here. There's something about these days where the market is not super strong, and I would just rather be playing in the afternoon a squeeze name or something that I think has better potential that might not care if the market flushes. So that's why we have CEI long. That's why I'm long here in this TTOO. Just feels like it's the way to go.
Roku's also kind of heading down into that 90 level, so wondering if the 90 breakdown works today on Roku. Low of day is currently 90.45 or whatever that is. 90, that key kind of $10 level, this is the daily. Where's the 30-minute? The 90 level was holding before, and kind of a clean breakout, I believe, on the day that it did go. So, yeah, 90 kind of flat bottom breakdown right here on what is that, the 31st? Possibly an interesting level to try to get back into, like, 85, 84. This is where we were holding and would not go any further down, that 84 level on day one after the earnings. So yeah, I think that's probably the target on any Roku short if you're swinging. I mean, maybe you're targeting 80, but that was a pretty strong move up. I don't think they're giving it all back, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I kind of hope that it holds, and then we can be taking this tomorrow off the open and potentially getting that like $4 to $6 move out of it. But if it happens today, I feel like there's enough time for Roku to kind of flush in another $1 or $2 into the 88, 89 kind of area.
Well, I want it to flush
that
it
would
today.
Definitely make Neil happy.
Well, yeah, I want it to happen today. I understand exactly where you're getting at, because a flat bottom break, when you have all day for the move to go, of course you want that. Like when you look at this gap, like we're not filling in this gap today, but if you've got all day to do it.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow it's possible.
Stranger
Anything's
things have
possible.
I do want to add to this. It's just a matter of, I don't think I'm getting, if it gets back to 92, do I really want it? That's the question I'm asking myself. Like, if we bounce off the low another time and the market makes this bottom, you probably don't love that reload. Because is it going to stay range bound when it's down 7%? Probably not. So I think an add on it breaking down and making a new range on the bottom makes more sense at this point. So let's see what happens there. TTO still going. CEI is only okay. CVNA is not really doing much.
AI got back to 40, interestingly.
AI did? That's not bad.
Yeah, it does the whole breakdown of the 40 level, holds it on the offer all the way down to 38-ish, and now we're back into that 40. So now at that down 10% level. Wondering on SSR tomorrow, does this kind of break out from 40 again and then give us some of these higher levels when it's easier to go long? I'm hoping yes. We'll see what happens there. Probably depends on, like, where's Unity, or not Unity, Upstart at? Upstart absolutely gave everything up today. Does hold 65 though, twice. Double bottom on that 65 on Upstart. So some key levels possibly being held on some of these squeeze stocks. Obviously, Carvana holding up all day. Hasn't given up 47 today.
Nicola's above 3.
Yeah, Nikola above 3. So all of them setting up after taking a breather today to potentially be good tomorrow.
There's too many of these. Yellow just broke back above 3. So now Nicola's breaking 05. Cannot possibly take all of these. You can't. I can't. I'm in TTOO, and obviously I'm still in CEI, and I'm looking at yellow above 3. That could squeeze from here. Like Nicola, shout out to anybody that maybe is looking at this. I don't know if I can still take this. It just broke the 05 now. It even gave you the consolidation long off 2s. You could be long in that 2 area. That's got room to run to 328. Definitely is setting up. RAD is curling as well at the same time. You're getting a curl in RAD. This is why you look at some of these high flyers, low flow, short names, like whatever you want to call them, whatever meme stocks. It doesn't really matter what the name you give them. That's not really that big of a move. You want something breaking back out where shorts are covering. If shorts aren't trying to cover something, then, or like stop out or trail out of everything, then you don't really want it at that point. Yeah. If TTOO fails, I probably move over to either Nikola or maybe yellow. So here's TTOO. It just did that wick, covered some at that 33. It might decide to hold a higher low at that 21. If it does, then I want to try to re-enter what I took out somewhere around that 22 level, but it has to hold on to 21. I don't want it to get all the way down into VWAP. There's a limit to how much you want to take. If you're taking some profit at 1 and 1.5 cents, I'm going to try and get out and limit it to that 1 to 1.5 cent to the downside. So I'll give it back through the entry price, but I don't want to give it too far to the downside there. Apple did not stop me out or trail me out, actually, so that's pretty solid. Ends up bouncing above 192.50. Check out Tupperware, says Walid. That hasn't really gone yet. Ooh, Tupperware had a rough day.
Oh, yeah.
There's no place at which the shorts had any concern. Like, it tries to go back through 4, it dumps to 350. What do we like on the daily chart's not going to care. The 15-minute, where would you even find support? Under 3? Yikes. Now that you broke down here, like 275. Sometimes these will level off for a day or two and you want to let it do that and then worry about where it's going to bounce for a longer play. But for like a day trade, like you can maybe scalp something at $3. I'm not sure. This is not, like these other stocks are trying to bounce. This is still getting hammered down here. I'm not sure this is a good idea. That feels really, really ugly to try to go into the long.
Yeah, once you kind of reject off that key $6 level and then you get 2 days of down after that, on these kind of short squeeze plays, that typically spells the end unless it's one of those like ultra meme stocks like a Carvana or an AMC or whatever that just have forever, GameStop. HKD top went for a long time.
That was...
Also interesting on Nikola, somebody in the chat said that they have earnings tomorrow. My trade idea says earnings on August 4th, so Friday pre-market.
Yeah, I didn't think it was till...
Yeah, today's the 2nd. Yeah. So Friday pre-market it should be on Nikola. I don't think that helps you on the squeeze move. I think they're probably not reporting the best earnings of all time, but maybe they surprise. Usually earnings hurts these just plain short squeeze moves in my experience, but we'll see what happens on that. AMD is really doing nothing at the moment, but looks like it may be starting to break down. So has to get through 110.40 to really start to break down. Took whatever that is, like 10% out of this AMD short, looking for like 109.50 on that one. And Carvana actually starting to go. I was about to say Carvana's doing nothing, but it looks like it's starting to bid up into that 50 level. I think 50 is the breakout. Maybe, I think actually you probably have to wait till 50.40.
Like you're taking 50, or the high of the day break is the standard because it's a double top at 40. Like that's a clean double. I know they're nasty wicks, but it's a clean double top. 50 feels like it's just a round number at this point. And the other thing you can do, we were talking about this at lunchtime, is if you take the 50-40 break, then you can just easily stop it out at 50. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. Like that's my stop out right there. If it gets to 51, I would cover some in front of 51 and then let it fly at that point, because then it's house money. And then if it holds well above 51 at some point, I would trail it to that level. I don't know about adding at 51. After my experience of adding to the position at 50 on the 49 long, I don't think you add to it. I think you just set it and forget it at that 50-40 break. So it's close enough. It's within that dollar. I should have that order out there, which I did not. So thank you for reminding me. My order is now in on Carvana. I'm using my Edge A order, which actually shows up. So we have different stop orders here, Day Trade the World, one of which is like a standard script stop. That sits in your script order log, so it doesn't show up as an order. Like if I place an order on the stock, in my order log, it's just going to show up. So this Edge A order sits in my order log as almost like a limit order, even though it's a stop order. So you can see how aggressive I'm being with that order and where I'm crossing to. Maybe that's not even enough. I'm crossing under 60.
That should be enough.
I feel like it's okay. Like I'm trying to give it like 15 pennies. I don't want to pay any more slippage than that. So I'd miss the fill if it got higher than that. Again, that's just how it works here, Day Trade the World. So checking back in on TTOO, looks like it did make that bounce. Didn't really get in. It didn't give me much of a chance to get filled down here. Like it wicked underneath and immediately holds 22. Kind of wanted something under here, 21.5 to 22, or just like right over 22. I don't want to chase this anyway. I already still have a bunch of this anyway, so I'm gonna hang on to TTOO. That's still okay. CI still a little bit in the money. Not a heck of a lot going on there. AHI. Oh, don't get me started with that stock. This was another one this morning. Yeah, I remember you, AHI. I had the 5 break. Okay, pretty standard 5 break. Stop it out at 480. Then I do this reload, which is right off. I'm like, if it bounces off the halt price, I'm going to go long in front of the halt price. And this is almost simultaneous. Like it gets to this high. I had just gotten some out. I had orders all the way up to the high of the day. The first one filled. I want to say it was a blink of an eye, but it was probably a couple of seconds. And then I was stopped out underneath. It's like, yeah. Any take profit gets filled on the offer, and then Huadong to the downside, and then basically that was the high of the day. So a couple of shots at that one, neither one worked out. I then stayed away from it. I think it needs to at least get above this 450 to 460 level, then it gets interesting to me. Some of these other runners are right there, and I think that's where it's going to be. What else we got here? HI. So HI, if it breaks 450, that's a little bit more interesting is what I'm getting at. Tony Price says SoFi has been consolidating. Have you looked at SoFi today, Max?
I looked for a minute. It was kind of around that $10 level. It looked like there was no real volume going off on it. But yeah, that seems like the exact. I mean, 44 million is not so bad, but you know, SoFi, if it's going to put in a big day, it's going to be closer to 100 million on the volume front. If you like the range plays, this is the name for you. When there's no news, it just kind of chops around and doesn't do a whole lot directionally, but you know, you get that 10.25 fail, you take it in at 9.75, 50 cents, $10 stock. It's a 5% move. Yeah, it is. That's not so bad.
That's not bad at all.
But you would have to capture the entire range to do that. Realistically, you're probably kind of like, you know, shorting 10.15s, trying to get out 9.90s, and you know, we're right at that $10 right now. That seems where it is comfortable at the moment. We were waiting for that 10 breakout for a long time, and the fact that we're hanging out around there is not that bad, but really nasty move, and really it's going to be the decision whether we break 9 or break 11 to where SoFi goes in the near future. I was looking at VRT, Vertiv, which I don't think we talked about all day, but it's up 30% and just basically went up all day, straight up off the open. Where's the open right here? Yeah, straight up off the open. They reported today, I believe, or was that a price target increase? No. Yeah. They reported today and then got a couple target increases and just kind of flew. And now we're at that 35 level. That's kind of a, you know, clean, even key level to look at. If you look at the daily chart, we came from $12 in April up to 35 now. So big move. I wonder if, you know, now that you get to this 35 intraday, strong stock, end of the day, does it need a little pullback here right at this clean, even level? That's where I'd be trying to short it. I'm trying to find some prices on the daily that are higher than this, but going all the way back to 2021 here. Yeah, new lifetime high with volume, says Trade Ideas. So all-time highs for this one, 35.05 now the all-time high. I wonder if this is a decent short to try to get it back into like 34 going into the end of the day, but you'd have to see some kind of sign that this really wants to give it up.
You're wearing the teal shirt, and that is riding the teal. Like,
that is trusting the teal for sure.
If it trusts the moving average like that, then maybe you don't short it until it closes underneath it or something. That's a 1 or 3 minute chart.
1 minute
chart.
1 minute? Yeah. So just rides it all day. 50 period hasn't been touched.
Yeah,
all
look
day.
at that one attempt. It closed below, maybe like 2 closes below it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then you're just trying to fit the strategy to what's happening, which doesn't really ever work. You never want to look at it and be like, I have a strategy on the 50 on the 9. It's a 21 or the 9.
21.
It's a 21. I got this strategy that, you know, every time it closed underneath, well, it's okay. Well, you would have lost there, so let's just say it's if it closes twice underneath and just alter it.
Yeah, and then you keep changing it until, you know, suddenly you're holding through this pullback here because it hasn't closed
Carvana.
12 times. Oh, Carvana went? Carvana's at 51? Oh my God.
Well, you knew it was probably going to happen. There's Vana. It just got to 51. I didn't get anything out at 51 there. That's annoying. I probably should have taken. The last time I got greedy here on the 51 level. Okay, I'll take one out at 51. You know what I don't do here? So last time I was adding on a level like this. Like instead of I was adding at that 49 long into 50. We take the 50-40. I cover some at 51 because I do believe you don't want to look gift horse in the mouth. It's been the kind of day that I don't want to do that. As long as we hold 50, you got so much room to go here. This is the daily chart. This is part of the excitement for Carvana and why I was trying to aggressively add in the morning. In the afternoon, I think it's a different story because you have 55 minutes for this to really, really go. So it just rejected 51, so I was able to take 20% out there. Whoa, that just levitated back up to 51. Yeah. That's a little better.
That's looking like a real short squeeze.
Now
I mean,
it's better.
You got to think how many people are short today under this 50 level, thinking that it's rejected twice, double top, we're good to go, and now breaks that, goes straight to 51. And now, if you didn't have a stop in up there, and you're trying to think about what should I do here, you're probably waiting a minute to see if it'll pull back for you and you can get a better price instead of just punching out $1 above what you thought you were going to. And that's where people get absolutely smoked. So if we make a new high here above that, what is that, 25? Oh, 30, 51.30. I feel like if we make a new high right now above 51.30 on this next 1 minute candle, that could be an absolute banger of a trade. Obviously holding anywhere above 50-40 would be pretty awesome too.
I don't like, so initially it's like, okay, give it to 50. Once it breaks 51, I really don't want this thing back under 50-40. That feels pretty nasty. I don't want to stop right at 50-40 though. Maybe give it a little bit of room under there, but not all the way back to 50. After what it did already, I just feel like that's giving it a little bit too much. I could give it a chance to like wick that level and then still be in, but if it carries through, you just got to be able to get out. It'd be nice if it bounces. I could see an opportunity. Like if it just came down, you just saw that, it just came down underneath 80, and then immediately was bought back up to 51.
Yeah, that's looking
real
even
bullish. More bullish here. It is very tempting to be adding to this position.
The next stop was 53 on the
last time
on that earnings day.
Yeah, that earnings day.
When they reported 53 was a bit of a problem, and then 54 was a problem, and then 55 was a problem, and then the next day you're trading at like 45. So,
which is wild.
Yeah, we'll see where this can go. I mean, there's the 60 is the breakout on Carvana. The real ultimate breakout that everybody was waiting for was $60 on that earnings day. Never showed up.
But you have to keep the other thing to keep in mind here too is. Like if you remember what I was doing in, it's Rite Aid, right? A lot of times you get to a level like this, let me go back to the 15 minutes. A lot of times you get to a level like this, and that's where you're engaging a short position.
Yeah.
Like this is where you start fighting the short position. So there's one of two ways to play. Like to me, you pick and choose because it can go 10% in either direction here. But if I was shorting it, you're probably, like you're giving it back into here, like, if you look at that gap, like you're probably giving it to that 51 area because you know it can be down at 47, 48 again. So you want to be entering here between that 50-40 breakout and that 51 area. Like you're getting your short for a lot of people. Like if I was shorting this stock, which I'm not obviously, then I'd be looking to be in here on that pop. Yeah. And if it cannot claim the high of the day, like I'd be in it like somewhere in here and I'd be stopping it out the top. So when Max says, it's got to break that high. Like if it breaks that high, I want to get one fill in here and then see if it can run. On that momentum of running stops, I want those stops to be part of me getting filled, and then I want to hold the rest of the position. But if that short starts working, the shorts get really convicted back underneath that 50-40 level, and some of them get really aggressive. That's why I don't want it getting back beneath that break-even point. I have to get back to TTOO there. We can't only talk about one stock. This is going right back into this high. It needs to break the top. If it doesn't break 24 here, then I'm covering some more again down at the 23 half. So I got the level 2 up there. If it does not break 24, even gets up to the top and fails it, I do want to cover some more on that as well. That's looking okay. CEI is really not moving. Apple could actually trail me out. Ooh, the wick on that chart. Sorry, guys. So that's a 92 long into VWAP. I'm still in a piece of it, but you can see I'm I was scalping it all the way to VWAP. I got to get rid of that wick for you guys. But if it gets back underneath this local bottom here, 192, it's like 50. I might tighten that up at some point. If it gets back under there, I'm just going to get out of Apple. Haven't added to this since we've come back on the show, but just so you know what's going on. And the NASDAQ is failing that futures level. Like, we're still sitting in the same pocket and now looking like we might break down. So how many times are we going to wick 15.5? If you reject this, the shorts are on. Hence why I'm in like squeeze names to the long side.
Yeah.
Because that way, if the market tanks, at least there's a chance for these. Good luck with this Apple long. I'm not reloading Apple. If the market's giving it up, Apple's not going to work to the long side. So I'm not adding to that position at all.
Yeah, it seems like if we go back to reality and not just squeeze for a second, all of these large caps kind of wicked their consolidation highs and then absolutely quad-doomed off those highs. You look at Meta off that 315.50. You know, you're in this long, probably thinking, all right, great break out of this double top. Boom, no, smoked all the way back below 314 within 3 minutes. So, AMD as well. You know, stopped out of that position right above this 111 consolidation, and then boom, smacked right into 110, 109 something. I don't know if that broke 110. No, it didn't yet. So yeah, market really coming down, looking like it wants to reject 15.5 again. It looks like this market has no bid in it today. So a lot of those large cap tech names really taking a hit in the last couple of minutes. NVIDIA as well, exact same thing. NVIDIA's down almost $5 from its consolidation kind of top there at 445, now trading at 441 and change. Just triple top at VWAP. That's an easy kind of setup.
The market might be going down, but the arrow up has been these small caps. So once again, TTOO, it does tag 24, it tags 24 and a half, so I'm able to get both of those fills up there. So that's that 10% move now. TTOO, I do not want this back underneath 22, so this cannot turn, okay, well, you should never say this, but what I mean when you say it cannot turn into a losing trade is that unless my stop doesn't trigger or I cancel my stop or I do something very stupid, it cannot be a losing trade because I'm going to get out underneath break even. That's what I mean there. Obviously, nothing is 100% in life, but the stop order is going to work. I'm just double checking it right now so I don't make a complete ass of myself. I have it correctly. Because if I say all that and then I actually keystroke and have my stop like at the wrong price, then I'd look really, really bad. But I just double check. The stop is underneath 22, so that should be fine. Carvana is still battling. So as the market goes down, this is still trying to make that high, this hold of the previous high at 50.40. So that's looking pretty good. Not changing anything. I'm not going to get overly aggressive by adding to this position. It just made a run at that high of the day without breaking. Get going, Carvana. Obviously, Greg and Brenkel's on the bridge. One of those two is in this one too, because that 50.40, you almost had to have it or the 50 break. I need this above 51.50. Break 51.50, then we've got something going here on Carvana. It's the only game in town, these low float and squeeze names and penny stocks, because the market is still getting absolutely crushed. So you need these to be the runners here. Don Claddy says that Tune is next. I'll take a look at that once we get a break and I can get this fill. Because if we don't break the high of the day, I probably take something out in this range before that 51 level. I don't like the fact that it can get through this high of the day. So let's get going, Carvana. You owe me one. And we got a super chat here. Red Tape 500. Does Apple see 205 from earnings?
Oh yeah, for sure. Apple's going through that 200 on earnings.
You're convinced of it, eh?
I'm convinced. I mean, I haven't even looked.
I'm not convinced of it because I feel like, come on, get going. I feel as if the failure on AMD today might be a bit of a signal to the market on top of the Fitch thing. That's the kind of move. We just failed the top here. I'm going to take some out. That's the kind of move that can have us stall out this euphoria and consistently go to the upside. So I'm kind of thinking it has to be so perfect from Apple that I'm not so sure about it. Like the way that we reacted today to AMD's earnings, which were slight beats across the board, is a very bearish look. And then you throw in the fact that the market continued to the downside. If we have another red day tomorrow, it's like, what does Apple have to do at that point? I don't know.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that we were all the way down at 192. But I mean, $8 move on earnings, that's 4% 4%. We could do it.
It's
could do
doable.
It. Oh, no. That would have to be a $12. Yeah, we're probably not doing 6%.
Well, you have all day tomorrow. You don't know. Like, if the market rebounds tomorrow and Apple's up a couple of points, and it's not as crazy of a story. But we're sitting at 190. We're underneath 193.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm saying no. But that could change if we could take out 125, 126 tomorrow and be within earshot of the 200 level, maybe. But I just did that thing where don't look a gift horse in the mouth, ring the register, all that stuff, because you do not want to end up in the gates of hell, because I know what happened on this last break. Greed got the better of me. I was aggressively adding, and then it quadunked on my butt. So not this time. This time I'm only taking profits. The stop is now, the stop was already just barely underneath the 540. Now I feel like I can just move it to break even. Like if it gets underneath here, I might as well just have a break even stop on Carvana. Do not let this get out of hand. Do not let this turn into a mess. So I'm going to stop this out, make sure we at least capture break even on the rest of it, and let's see if we can absolutely fly here. This is what it's about here. Ronnie Boy 225, thank you for the super chat. Neil Roberts producing another banger. I wish we had more for you this morning because there were some short setups that I liked. I will not forgive myself for not having any shorts that I had set up this morning. I had two that I loved, and I didn't take either one of them. I had my note. I tweeted out. I'm like, I like these shorts. I did not get either one of those two. You're in the Carvana with 500. You're out at 51.40. You took the profit. See, that's the thing. And then ELF this morning. Thank you for taking ELF. It kind of validates. We go through a lot of things in the morning preparation, but you can't trade them all. And I knew off the get-go that ELF was going to be something that neither one of us was likely to have on a level 2 or have up. And I didn't think we'd be able to snag the dip buy on this gapper. But you have the huge earnings mover, right? You have the aftermarket support right here at that 132. It does that whole attempt to fill in the gap, break the pre-market low, hold that 132. You could be in you could actually be in this underneath 133, believe it or not, which is crazy. And then it goes right back up to that top. That's all you need. It just goes to the top. It's about a 33 entry into 37, and then it gives it to you twice. So, I mean, it's not usually the type of name that we're day trading here, but it was a good setup. Starbucks at 100 was a good setup as well. I'm just glad that, some people were looking at these earnings names. That's why we go over them in the morning and not just the things that we're going to trade, because there's other opportunities out there that we might not catch. TTOO has a wall at 25 now. And it's like it's 500,000 shares displayed at 25 cents. I'm not going to add to the position. Do not add to the position. That has not been the way to play today. There are times in this market where if you add to these on these key levels, it's just like break the 25 long and take more long into 28. Not doing it today. I'm going to take profit on a 25 break. I'm going to move my trailing stop up. We're going to let it fly. I'm still holding half the position anyways. There's no need to add if I'm still holding half this thing. That's insane. That's exactly how I got myself into trouble on Carvana earlier, so I'm not going to do it today. Oh, Apple's going to trail me out in a second, and bye-bye. So the last of the big cap names that I was in that was a long is gone. That's Apple. Again, that wick. Sorry about it. Still profitable. We got the 192.50, but you got to ring the register.
Congratulations!
If you found any longs on the big cap tech names off the bottom, good on you for doing it. Apple was the one that worked out best for me, but I'm now out of that trade, and it is just about these low float and penny stock flyers. Kian Johnny, we'll need a source on that because I don't want to say that. I see what you put in the chat there. If that's actually true, maybe we'll try to confirm it, but I don't want to be talking about something like that if it's not actually true.
Yeah.
Because I was just telling a story about when the Associated Press had their Twitter account hacked and it moved the market. I feel like wouldn't we be moving more if that was maybe a possibility? So I'm going to just message Brennan here and see if he knows anything about that.
Yeah, Carvana's starting to fail a bit, but I do recall this from yesterday afternoon and getting out, and then it kind of rebounded right away. But I don't want to, it's a pretty nasty dump, so definitely have to manage risk on that one. Always have a stop on something like this. This Carvana could flush $1 on you. No problem. I got my fake position here. Just chilling on it. I think, trusting the teal for now on that. But if that breaks 50-40, that looks pretty nasty, I think.
Trust the teal.
Yeah, AMD getting all the way back down to 109.50, so went to where I figured it would. Do we bounce from here? Probably off 109, I think we bounce, but I don't know. I think, range kind of established. Edge probably gone from this name today. A lot of people have taken their bets, positioned. Any real positioning has been done on this one. That TTOO, I actually like the idea of a 25-cent breakout just because.
Get her done.
I don't know, you take the 10, the 15, the 20, the 25, the 50, the 75, the $1. I find can work on these. It's just psychological levels. I think most of this penny stock trading is done by retail, so psychological levels tend to be pretty effective on them.
So just as a one of the plays I used to make when I was penny stock trading, earlier back in the day, is if I saw so this is a 26 level, instead of taking a 25 break, what I would do a lot of times is when I saw that momentum, I would because when you trade and you can trade bigger size on a prop floor and you can have really tight stop, that kind of thing, a lot of times what I would love to do is kind of load up in here on 24.
Knowing that it's going to break.
Knowing that it gets to that level, I'm that's a lot of size, but it's not really. And so I'd get long in the 24 range a lot of times. This used to work a lot more than it does now. And then if 25 broke, I'd already be in there. And once 25 broke, I'd just get out back underneath 25. So I was I'd lock in that 1 penny, and I was usually risking a half a cent. I'd risk a half a cent that it holds this little consolidation, and then if it breaks 25, I'd just let it fly to the next level. So I'd be getting long into the level and never taking the breakout. And best part about it, if it was doing this consolidation, I'd be bidding passively and getting a rebate, because you used to get paid a rebate that was pretty healthy on penny stocks. So I could be getting paid to get long at 24.2, 24.1, and I'm making $2 per 1,000 shares, sometimes $3 per 1,000 shares that I take, and I'm risking half a cent. And if it broke the high, you let it fly. That was a very profitable strategy back in the day. There's more algo. The problem is all the algos now. It's the algos kind of gave away that edge. So now is all of a sudden you got to find the better longs in there. Just be way more nimble. Here comes 25 break on TTOO. If it fails this break, I cover some between 24 and 24.5. It just hit the level. They just took out half of the size. Where's my level 2? I should be showing you guys a level 2 here. It just took out a bunch of the size at 25. Some of it did remain, so it's still a half a million. They're going to chew through this. But if it fails, I do want to cover some on the back end. So
it's reserving there a bit, kind of reloading bit of a reserve, on the offer. Not that much volume going into it, though. Interesting action there.
So that got me out of a quarter, just there. It flashed to max, but the second I saw that reserve, it kind of reserved at 25 even. You might not see it do it again. I was able to get some out there at that 24.80 level. That's right in here, right? So the second I saw it reserve, I'm I take a little bit out. I'm still holding on. I still have some of the position. Again, I had half of it, and then of course, take some out. I do want to still give it a chance to go because it's a tight consolidation. But if it rejects 25, I'm going to take something out almost every single time there. I have to go back to Carvana for a second because that suddenly. Now that's pulling right back into the breakout. Rang the register. I wish I could say we got the super chat and I appreciate it, but maybe getting it all out of 51.40 was the right call. I took a couple scalp trades out there and I'm still holding on. It cannot be a loser because I'm going to stop out just underneath break. Actually, I've moved my stop up just above break even. So even with slippage, I shouldn't lose on that entry point, maybe by a couple of pennies or so, but it won't be that bad. Wish Carvana could have gone. If Carvana could do what TTOO would be doing, that would be it getting to 53 or 54. Yeah. So not as big of a move as you would like here. But hey, you got to take it. You got to be happy with the winners. Gary, what are your thoughts on Rivian? You know I haven't looked at Rivian? Ronnie boy, you don't have paper hands. You guys have seen me trade. I have no issue saying I have some paper hands when it comes to this. Usually I got paper hands because I like taking profit on the way up. I never want to sit there. It's okay, I always figure if a stock's going from 50 to 53 or 50 to 55, there's 100 different ways it can happen, And what are the chances that it's a straight shot to 55? And not some kind of weird bamboozlement along the way.
Right
so if
above
there's
zero.
If there's all of those different outcomes, I want to have a positive expectancy on a bunch of them, as opposed to, thank you, Brankles. We just got Kit Kats.
Nice.
Little sugar. So thank you very much, Brankle.
Oh, there you are breaking that 25 level on TTLO. So I got long on that.
You took it?
25 break. We'll see if we can get this into 26. I don't know where this can go. I don't even look at the daily chart, to be honest.
26 to 32.
To 32 is the next kind of level. Yeah, I mean, you know, you break these levels. Sometimes it goes 2, 3 pennies. Sometimes it goes 5. I would say we don't have enough time in the day for that.
Don't we, though?
Well, maybe. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
It's
Maybe
a
we
penny
go to
stock.
5.
You saw what's it called yesterday? Seemed like forever ago. It was a yellow. Yellow
Yeah.
waits until like right at the end of the day to give you the move, like 2 days in a row. I am going to get to Rivian in a second, but it was yellow, which by the way got crushed today. Remember, they're going bankrupt. Eventually, it's not going to be good. But it waited till the end of the day 2 days ago. It waited right up until the end of the day yesterday, but eventually it gave you that long. I'm not saying this is going to go, but TTO could definitely make a bigger move. I promised Rivian, by the way. So what do I think of Rivian? I think when you wick a bottom like this and recover and the market continues down and it refuses to fall further, that's usually a bullish sign. But this market's been weak, but that is a pretty decent recovery for it to try to close back above this 26 level. It rejected that 27 and 28 breakout, but that is a very strong recovery off the bottom for Rivian. If it can close here and not roll over. Like if the market were to make a fresh low and Rivian holds, that'd be good. And then maybe you look at the 26 breakout tomorrow. A lot can happen in the next 30 minutes though. And here comes CVNA, this is gonna give it up. So as the continuation happens in TTOO, Carvana breaks back underneath. So I guess it was the right call. Take it all out there. I didn't take it all out, but we did manage to get that break-even-ish stop. Lost a couple of cents on the last of that position. But hey, winning trade anyways. Just no follow-through on Carvana, but you got to be able to be happy with the winner. Not all wins can be a flawless victory. Sometimes you take a few punches along the way, and you're just happy that you're green on the stock. TTOO. I really don't like calling it TTOO. Let's just call it T2. It's T2 Biosystems, right? Is that what it is? It's it's T2 Biosystems.
yeah.
T2 is way easier to say. Just call it T2. We're all agreed. T2. So T2 just got to 26. Why am I not taking something out? Let's just do that. There we go. Just got some out there just above that 26 level. Remember, I just finished saying that when you go to the higher time frame, what is going on? There's my daily chart. Here's the gap fill, 26 bottom, 32-ish top. So were it to reject something, this would make some sense. You do not want this necessarily rejecting this level. That's not a good one, but it's already given you 22 to 26. Do not ever forget with a penny stock, you've just gotten a 15% move.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with a 15% move, you probably shouldn't be trading. No, but it's just true.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have some kind of big picture idea with
if you're swing trading,
specific ins and outs, and you're saying, for whatever reason, you have some strategy that definitely, or that's the strategy to get some kind of like, whatever it is, you have some edge that you believe you have where, this has to go from 17 to 29, and that's my strategy, and that's what I'm going to do. And there was a trader on the floor.
No, that's fair.
Who used to do that and was very successful at doing that kind of thing. Obviously, not a crazy he wasn't saying I need 50% out of a stock, but he was not willing to sell unless it actually got to his absolute target.
Sometimes you don't want to do a scalp trade, and that's perfectly fine too. I know, I say that, but. Yeah, I shouldn't. You never speak in absolutes. I'm pretty sure I say this all the time on the floor. Like, you will think how you speak. So if you speak in absolutes, you'll have this tendency to think that you're never wrong and always think that things are 100%. Like, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
So even if something is a very low probability, I never want to say it's impossible unless I'm joking around.
However, if you get a 15% move on any stock and you're not taking profit, you better have some serious edge to know that thing's going somewhere specific.
I'll give you one example. HKD, right?
Well, yeah, like that's crazy.
Now, HKD, when it was trading in its heyday, that was something where if you were taking 15%, I'm talking when this stock went to $2,500, right? If you were trading that to take 15%, you just no chance. Like that was the spread sometimes. It's like that's executing it. It's just ridiculous. You were losing 10 to 15% every single time you execute. So I've taken some 26, looking for the next leg up. If it fails 25, maybe I cover some in that 24.50 range again. As I said, Carvana's gone. CEI is doing absolutely nothing. Andy Frisella, you dropped so much wisdom, bro. Thank you. The reason for that is I've been trading a long time. I've seen a lot of mistakes made. I made a lot of them myself. And it makes it a lot easier to be able to I can just talk shop and almost any situation, and I'll be able to tell you, I know a trader that did this. I know a trader that won on something like this. I know a trader that lost on something like this. I know somebody that made their career on a move like this, or I had a really bad trade in a different situation. It's really easy to drop those stories. And trust me, like when I say that, do not sleep on profits. The very first stock I invested in on my personal account was a penny stock. And like, I mean, I had like mutual funds and that stuff at that point in my life, but I had never invested in a single stock before. And the first one, I don't even remember the name of the company. It was a penny stock because they were getting this news that came out. And then when the news hit, I was up 100 and something %. What do you think I did?
Oh, you can't sell that. Never.
Of course you can't sell that. I'm like, yeah, baby, this is it. What happens next? News drops. It goes into a halt. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm up 100% on it. I didn't take any profit. It reopens, I gave it all back and stopped out flat.
Yeah.
I learned that lesson on the very first like swing trade I ever did. And this was back in, 04, I don't know, it's a long time ago. Sorry, guys. It was probably like 2004, maybe? 05? I don't know. It was a very, very long time ago, but I learned that lesson the hard way. Here we go, 27's Maximilian.
Yeah,
this is starting to go. Tattoo, T2, doesn't matter. This one is absolutely flying. Why couldn't Carvana just do this?
Yeah, someone was talking actually about do I swing Carvana overnight? I can't give you the answer to that, but you know, you have to understand that news can come out any morning. If you were swinging Carvana short overnight, thinking that that 50 reject was, I mean, actually that would have worked out just fine for you. But you know, news came out this morning on Carvana. That could have been bad news. And if you were long, you know, maybe it's trading at $30 before the market opens, and unless you have the ability to execute as that news comes out, you are kind of done. So you know, just make sure that you're able to manage risk if you want to swing this overnight. And if you know, if you're long today on Carvana, anywhere above, you know, you're above 47 or around 47 at the best if you're long Carvana today, and you want to swing that overnight, I think, you know, you got to understand that you're in the top of the range on the daily chart here, and this could end up, you know, back down at $30 before long. So you know, always be careful with those overnight swings.
Oh, we got the early look on the imbalance. The early look on the balance is 440 million to buy. I didn't want to say anything until Brennan confirmed this. So I'll read it out here because it looks like it was true. It was put in the chat. Caution, the situation at the U.S. Capitol building was likely a mental health situation and not an active shooter. So that's, you know, hopefully everyone's fine, and that's kind of the end of it. But it was put in the chat that something was happening at the Capitol and there was a shooting there. And I didn't want to say anything until it was confirmed, but it looks like that might be resolved there. So not an active shooter. That's always good news. The bad news is, just as I thought we could extend to 28 on TTOO, here comes that retest of 25. So you look out for these wick tops. Now the last two times it did this, there's your wick top through 23, held the higher low pretty nicely, but one wick underneath. That's okay. At that point, we're still giving it to 21. Holds, breaks out, a little bit of a wick high. This time it actually does not bust under 23. Goes to 25, no problems 25 to this 26. Wicks 27, suddenly you have a bigger range. Now where it was like a cent or a cent and a half, now it's like a 27.5 top to 25. That's 10%. I don't want this getting back underneath that 25. Like I want to be covering somewhere in here. I don't want to give this all back. I don't have, you know, at this particular point, like you hold on to like 25% usually. as it gets into this range. So I'm only holding a quarter. I've been taking some out the entire way. I'd never hold on to all of it, but I'd be cautious with this 25 level on the way back in here. Roku, I never found a spot to add to it, and it's trying to bounce off the low of the day. The reason I'm noting that now is the NASDAQ is bouncing shy of the low. So if we don't, look, if we bounce off this low, we're also running out of time today. But if we don't bounce off this low, if we do bounce off this low, I do need to get at a Roku. It's not breaking that bottom, it doesn't look like. As a matter of fact, it's retracing right now. I might just put a trailing stop in here. Maybe just take it out. It feels like taking it out might be the right call, and maybe focus on these small caps. CEI is literally not moving. I should just take that out flat. It's gone down to 01s, it's gone up to 04s. I've been long 02 this entire time, and it's not doing the T2 thing, which would be nice if it did.
Carvana, for what it's worth, has not broken back below 50 since this recent breakout. Still trading at like 50, 60, but volume's kind of dead on this one. How much? 25 minutes left. I mean, it could still go, but it kind of feels like this could be the end for Carvana today. I think if you're long at, I mean, I am theoretically long at 50 here and have it trailed at 50. That's probably the way to play it. But is it getting through the high again today? Is it getting to 53 today? I don't know. Seems like it's dead today. If we take out this high tomorrow, you know, we look at the daily breakouts one more time on this. Today, it, you know, I guess it worked. I guess it kind of worked. You had to do it 3 times, but eventually, if you manage risk properly, it did work, and you could be positive on the stock today. So will I try it again tomorrow? Yes, I will. I'll go long
Nice.
Carvana at, what is this, 51.60. Tomorrow, if that ends up being the high, if the high ends up higher, I will take that breakout tomorrow morning. If this is going to squeeze up and these daily breakouts keep working, I will keep taking them until
Look out TTO.
until they work. Yeah, TTO did give up that 25 again, so stopped out of that one on this on that breakout move. And AMD got all the way back to 109 again. I guess, you know, market is at the low, basically, but it is bouncing from the low. But yeah, AMD back through that 109 level. Seems to be bouncing from there. We'll see where this ends up tomorrow. I mean, I feel like we get a bounce tomorrow, but this is a nasty down move for a stock that has been, I mean, honestly, like it feels like it's been kind of mixed recently. Every time you go up, it gets sold off. Every time you go to highs, it gets sold off. So, I mean, maybe AMD's just been waiting to sell going into earnings this whole time. And, you know, we see the signals and just think that a good earnings report can send it higher. Anything below 106 would be a massive breakdown on AMD. And maybe, I mean, if we take down 106, I would bet that we see 100 before long, personally. And maybe, you know, into 95, because that would be a very nasty breakdown. We've definitely given up the 50 period here on the day chart on AMD. So too bad on that one. NVIDIA holding up better, 100%. But NVIDIA's down 5% too.
I don't like right now. You got to show me a reason to like the long tomorrow on those. I'm not saying not for sure, but it's pretty bearish, especially playing off that. We have so much room to get to that 115. Just want to update. I still have a little bit, but we're down to like that last 10%, which is like the hero level. So it's 337. We got the imbalances coming out at 350. We are running out of time, but this did fail 25 even. It manages to hold though. So with wicks underneath, I am going to always cover some there, but that's a decent hold. I'll give it a chance to get back into the high. Maybe you get that late day running mentality, but I always want to be taking profit. I did not add to this one at 25. I think a lot of times you add to it, it gets really tricky, but that was pretty solid place to have added at 25. It ended up working out really nicely because you get 10% move, and then you could have very easily, with a tight stop, got almost break even out. Like you can't ask for too much more than that. Roku as well. I said I would trail it out, so put the trail on the local high, ring the register on that. At least eventually we shorted something.
Nice trade there on
Eventually
on
we shorted something.
Yeah.
I only chuckle because I came in today and remember
There's two bears here.
we switched the bulls to 2 bears. In the afternoon, I sat long all afternoon in that Affirm trade as a sympathy breakout to Upstart. I'm like, if Upstart's breaking out, this has been up on sympathy. Once we got into this range, dip into here, add above, and I just sat there kind of at the money or in the money slightly on Affirm. And then despite the fact that Upstart broke out and went another $2, Affirm just sat there doing nothing. So Affirm gaps down, and the first thing I said was Affirm's a short today. And then I don't have any executions on Affirm. At least I didn't go long, which is not really saying much, but darn it, that sucks. Yell's moving.
Yeah, Yell is going for that. 360 was the breakout price yesterday, right? So we're just below that now,
Yeah.
350. Our high of day today, though, is 370. High of day break kind of makes sense. You do this whole down move, recover the whole thing, and then break 370. But I could totally see that being one of those kind of algo-driven liquidity grab above that price and then slam the thing back down into the lows.
So if you look at this chart. So this is, it starts going at about 230 here, but it picks up and accelerates and really breaks out. Kind of my chart for a second. This is 2 days ago, because we had the long in this 2 days ago. It was about 330 that happened, right? Right around here, 330 starts to accelerate. Yesterday, it starts going here. That was that early break at 360, but then the secondary break happens here after 330 again when it goes parabolic. It's doing nothing, and then at 330, things kick in. It's almost like there's a dumb algorithm which is trying to like buy up shares or like cover shorts, that it doesn't get enough out, and then at 330 it has to like turn on. There used to be, I can say this. So it used to be, so there's a bunch of like old algos that were trading, and I'm not going to name the firm. I think it might have been Goldman, that had these open and close algorithms. And there was a point, and I only know this story; it was told to me secondhand. But there was a point at which they became obsolete, and they wouldn't use them anymore because they would be really bad at the open and close if they didn't get their allocation in the first 30 minutes. It would get really obvious after that when it would stop or start, and the same thing would happen at the end of the day. It'd be way too obvious in those ranges. And then all of a sudden, once they stopped using it, they would the same phenomenon was miraculously showing up on the TSX on small cap stocks. So if you were aware of it, you would just wait to see, oh yeah, there was a buy program that just immediately stopped right at 10 o'clock. You'd start dumping the stock, and then you would look for that same stock to have the same program come on at 330, and it would actually work out. Now, this is a long time ago, but yeah, it feels like someone at 330 is switching something on every day in yellow. I'm not saying it's that. It's just an interesting anecdote. We should have just done it again. We had this long 2 days in a row, and we didn't even think about it today. 330 yellow, that is the one. Nothing much happening there on TTOO. CEI may be in the money, but it's not really doing a heck of a lot for me either. Carvana's looking pretty good. AI, is that still moving? AI? No, not really.
No, rejected 40. We did get 2 super chats.
Oh, my bad.
One of them, why IDEX daily vol always above 10 million, and can 10 million have a big impact? I looked up the stock. It's only 9 cents, so 10 million shares of a stock that's 9 cents is $1 million in notional volume. So that's really nothing if you consider, this yellow, which is doing real volume, and it's really making moves all the time. This is 32 million shares times $3 or $4-ish. That's like over $100 million of notional volume to make real moves. So yeah, 10 million shares of volume isn't all that much on a 10-cent stock.
And I'm not sure how real all that volume, because look at the volume spike here. Like almost all of that volume happened on one spike on this stock, right here. When I see that, I mean, it did move the price, but it moved the price from 9 to 8.8. Like really? Like it did 80 to 90% of the volume in one candle, and the stock moved that little? That's a dark fill. It's a lot of that had to happen in the dark. So the real liquidity is probably even a heck of a lot worse or lower than you think, which means it's not going to move as much. So always, I mean, you can look at that too. Like that's worth it. Always look at the volume candles at the bottom. I like volume as an indicator because then you get a real sense of how it's trading. You want to see, like usually, unless something crazy happens, all the volume happens at the open or the close. Most of the volume here this day was the open. Most of the volume here this day at the open. Most of the volume here this day at the open. Then this piece of nonsense. So I would say that was kind of fugazi. That's what it feels like to me. Fall Disney, fall Josh Plays says, is Disney still going down? No way. Disney's at 86. How bad is this getting? Load, load, load. Ooh. What else we got? Bear. I don't know. What else can I hit that's? I got this one. That's been Disney lately. So that's all. I've probably used way too much. Stocks are doing way worse than Disney, but this trend is it ain't your friend if you're long. That's for darn sure. However, it's got this 85 bottom. So you know how good bottom picking's been in today's market, right? We've got 15 minutes. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going long this stock. But look at this bad boy. This has been riding the 50 period ever since like 90. It broke it here at like 98. It's been riding the 50 period to the downside. Short the pops. It's worked on like a charm short the pops on this thing.
Yeah.
Yuck.
The other super chat from D'Lo, proper risk management going into earnings with a big position. I don't know. We don't know anything about risk management on a investment or swing standpoint around here. We just we deal with the pennies typically, not the dollars. But yeah, take off enough to match 25% and dollar cost average. I don't know. I think if you're swinging something into earnings.
Dollar cost averaging is a investment strategy.
Yeah.
Like I will leave it at that. Like if you say dollar cost averaging, to me, you're talking about investing. You're not. Like dollar cost averaging is a short-term trading strategy. It just sounds a heck of a lot like averaging down into a losing position.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're saying dollar cost averaging. And again, I'm not saying this to be mean. It's just, and then you're calling it dollar cost averaging or averaging in to make it sound better. But it's usually just piling into a mistake. If I was playing a stock as volatile as this, before I even get into position, where's my out? And if I can't answer that question, I don't make the trade. If you don't know where you're wrong, then you're never going to be able to get out when it goes against you, because you haven't predetermined what it means to be wrong on the stock. This just broke the 50 period today. So if it doesn't recover it, technically speaking, you could be 56 or you could be 50. Those are all reasonable possibilities on a bad miss for Shopify today, even though it's down 7%. And you could also be at 72. It's a lot of risk to not have a predetermined exit on your trade.
And I just think, like, if you are holding 100% of the position into earnings and it's not an investment, I mean, like, if you're swinging in this range, maybe if you're swinging from like $30 or wherever we were coming from, and you're saying, I should get some off here into earnings, it's probably something that I would do. But I don't know. I don't really. I don't swing trade personally, so I can't help all that much with that. But I think you got to manage risk into earnings. This could be, $60 or not 60. We're already at 60. This could be like $55
easily,
or $75 either way after the earnings tonight.
What's the short float here? Nothing.
On Shopify?
2.5%. Yeah, it's only 2.5% short. Yeah, you know what? That's a lot of times I'd come in tomorrow thinking about if it did get down there, like what am I going to do? But if it's not like 5, 10, 15% short, I don't know if I like that much for a trade tomorrow. I'm just going back to a couple of names. We have 350 coming up in 2.5 minutes, so the imbalances are going to drop. I just have what's remaining in TTOO. That's starting to fail back down in. Let me get to that for a second, because this cannot seem, now it's not holding that 25 level. We're running out of time here. I do have the rest of this for a break-even stop, which is making less and less sense at 350. I guess I just give it to 20. I'm giving it to 24. I always tighten up my stops at 350 because we have to be flat at the end of the day, so there is no point not doing that, right? Like you're not gonna, even if it gets a chance at the high of the day, I don't need it to go all the way back into the bottom here on me on TTOO. So it was a good long off that 22 break, risking the 21, but the party seems to be coming to an end, and then CEI is doing a whole lot of nothing. I got out of a 6 long. I got into a 2 long. I've gotten 1 fill 3. I have offers all the way up, but I'm probably not going to get those. And the second I put my trail in on T2, I just put that in, and it trails out. So that is the end of that trade. I'm glad at least this one was there for the power up, because it's one of those days. If you were trading this morning, it was easy to have a rough day. I had myself a rough day. TTO was definitely nice. VRT is moving.
Yeah, VRT, I was
Again?
about to pull up here. Look at this.
Didn't you say to short this?
Makes all-time highs, and I said maybe at 35 that people kind of give it up and we need this pullback into 34 before the end of the day. It was trusting the teal, and then, breaks the teal, it's a short. So, yeah, interesting there. You break a couple of moving averages. I would say probably the fact that it broke the teal and then broke the 50 period right after, that's maybe where you get in. And that's an even dollar where the 50 period was, so that 35, you could short it back through there. Takes you right down to 34. That's a nice trade. If you're holding on for more than that, I feel like that's probably a little greedy after this crazy, move up. But a classic stairs up, window down scenario on this VRT. Still up 30% though. This is only a $1 pullback on, it closed at 26.50 yesterday, and we're trading at 34 today. So still a nice move. But yeah, nice short. Sometimes you can get these on these very strong kind of trendy stocks. Once they give up the trend and people are just sitting in them, swinging kind of intraday, looking for something to stop me out, trying not to get stopped out, and then finally their moving average hits and they get stopped out. As imbalance time now.
No way. So the imbalances are coming right now. I see some questions in the chat, but Snapchat is 5.8 million to sell. Oh snap! That's what is going on with that Snapchat. I might get stopped out of a CI here, but Series a 1 million sell, Ford's a buy of 1 million, Pins is a sell. I don't see any of the big cap tech names in here, but Snapchat's the big one at 5.7 to sell. Apple's a 440,000 sell. Mullen, who cares? NCLH, small buy. DraftKings. I don't see any of the big cap names here. Tesla is a sell of 300,000. The real story is obviously Snapchat. What just happened to Snapchat? Not much of a move. Okay, so it dropped a little bit, like 5 cents down on Snapchat. I'm going to have that one up because that's pretty wild. I'm not even going to let this break on CEI. I'm just going to punch. I should just get out myself. Now, I'm not going to let it break 1. I'm just going to manually get out before it breaks to 1 on CEI. So I'm going to have my eyes on that as well. But Snapchat, if that stays as that big of an imbalance past 355, there should be something there for trade. 5.7 million ain't chump change. I know it's an inexpensive stock, but it's done 21 million shares today. And the imbalance is 5.7. That is significant any way you cut it.
Oh, yeah. Carvana also going for the high now. So that end of day, high of day break, those can be pretty aggressive there. So let's see if this can get through that 51.60 price and go to 52.53 by the end of the day. This kind of setup on a highly shorted name that people are kind of offside on, if they're covering at the end of the day here and it's taking out the high, that can be a very aggressive move going into the end of the day. But strangely just sitting above 51.50 here, not going anywhere. There's some selling, there's some buying, kind of mixed. Nothing's really happening. But yeah, let's see if we can get through that. What was it? It was 61, right? 51.61 was the previous high. Yeah. So we'll see if we can get through that. There it is, 62, 63.
Wow.
Wow, Carvana is flying. Where do we go tomorrow? This could be a crazy after hours move, actually. So maybe Prad should add this one to his list of things to watch after hours today. If people are offside and covering a highly shorted stock into the close, sometimes that move can really continue after hours and get very aggressive if it takes out the high of day. So maybe 52 is breaking after hours today. And this really starts to go crazy. That's I feel like this is uncommon for Carvana. I don't recall it kind of breaking and moving into high of day during this squeeze. I'll try to find a day where that might have happened previously on this 30-minute chart. But I mean, I guess there's this earnings day, but that wasn't a high of day because we were trading above there previously. This doesn't want to load for me, but we're going for 52.
Go Vana.
We are going for 52 here. Let's see where Carvana can go. I mean, if you just had the idea of going 47 long today, it happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times basically. You could have been long 5 times off of 47. You could still be holding it right now into this high of day. I'm not sure if 47 is really a level for me personally, but maybe it is, and I just kind of missed it today. I don't really see anything on the, I guess it's kind of where we held yesterday. But yeah, definitely bullish for tomorrow's potential action on this name.
Oh my goodness. Oh well. The interesting thing is we're definitely right that if you were looking for longs and you're trying to get long wins today in the afternoon, you had to be looking at the squeeze type, low float, penny stock, the things that don't care that the market's getting dumped on. You had a chance at a late bounce here. That's fine, but that's not really the actual wins we're going to be. Now, yes, I'm going to stop out this 10 times out of 10, but anyone that held on to Carvana is probably at least a little bit happy with that decision. Carvana earnings.
They already reported.
Yeah, they reported, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
They reported 2 weeks, I want to say 2 weeks ago. Sometime they've already reported, so they did already have that catalyst. But late day runner for Carvana, that's where it was. It was about Carvana. It was about TTOO. It was for the third day in a row. The company likely going bankrupt, yellow.
Oh yeah, did that keep going?
Makes a run at 330, but it does not hold up. So it actually gives that up a little bit here. So it does make the break, but it does give it up. Now 355, you have that major sort of like the imbalances tend to get paired off. So I want to check Snapchat here because let's see what happens to Snapchat. Gone. So it was 5.7 to sell on Snapchat. I don't even see it anymore. You've got Apple. Now Apple is a sell of 1 million. It was not before. Apple is now a sell of 1 million. Snapchat is nowhere to be found whatsoever. So we're going to get to the earnings board in a second, but Snapchat, it bounced on that. So sell and balance gets paired off, and then it bounces back to the upside. But Apple's sell of 1 million is not insignificant. Speaking of earnings, we just talked about Carvana having already had their earnings, but there's still some earnings on tap that we need to get to. Weren't we just talking about Shopify?
Oh yeah, Shopify. PayPal can be a good trade sometimes. Qualcomm. I don't think I've ever traded Qualcomm, but maybe that I'm sure you have.
No, I actually know once. I think I've day traded it once. It's really good as a barometer for other players out there, right? So you kind of look at it for like a tech play, and then for some of the like the Apples of the world, sometimes it can be a good play. But PayPal's worth looking at because it's got a monster level. On the off chance that this market can turn bullish, PayPal's got a really, really great channel that it's been sitting in. So you got a 72 bottom, and you've got this like 78 to 79 top. And this goes not just now, but that goes all the way back into what's that? Like this top is in April, and that high is in March. So I do like those levels on PayPal. It's worth watching. There's a host of names to look at. I feel as if we're going to be focused on the chip names after what happened to AMD, and then these runners, which are giving you some great trading opportunities, especially late in the day. That's what we need to look at. So that's what it's all about. We're just here to show you what we see and what we do with it, and go Carvana, because if you haven't enjoyed the afternoon show, it was a bloodbath today for anyone that was going long, but if you went long the right couple of names here, TTOO and Carvana, which is what we liked, then you did not lose today. You were ringing the old register, and Carvana is still go.
Yes, still going for that high, 61.85 or 51.85 the high on this one. I don't know. What do we take? Are we taking the 53 break off the open tomorrow? Who knows what happens on this one tomorrow? Maybe 50 is holding tomorrow off the open. That would be kind of a nice way to play this one. Play it on a dip off the open instead of trying to take all these breakouts and adding up high. Maybe you get a dip in a 50, you add on 60. Sounds like some of the boys in the back might be long this one as we speak. There we go. There's the high 80s. Can it get through there? Are we going to take out 52 before this market closes? Do we do this after hours? There it is.
Oh my goodness. There it goes. It's going to hit 52. Oh.
2 minutes left and this thing's still squeezing.
2 minutes to go. What happens first? Do we Ola it to 1,000 likes?
Like and subscribe today.
Or does Carvana hit 55? So 1,000 likes or Carvana hits 55. What's happening for Max? I know what you want to happen, Max. I feel like a couple of guys in the back want to 55, but I hope you've enjoyed it because on a day where the market gets its butt absolutely handed to it, it's nice to have some runners work out at the end of the day. So whether you had this, whether you had that, I hope you took, I mean, Tupperware got off the bottom and started to work there. Yellow got off the bottom and started to work. We already showed you Carvana. These never, this is only now pulling back, and it still would be break even on you. We already talked about TTO. T2 was definitely fantastic. So that's what it's all about. You got to be able to find the wins any day of the week. The market always gives you an opportunity. You've just got to be prepared to take it because it might not be in the names you want. If you want to be stubborn and only go long in big cap tech today, then you never stood a chance. You had to be short those names. And one last thing, I had meant to double check this because I was kind of curious. Can Tesla get back to that 255? That was a key level. I only traded one level on Tesla today. It was 255. And look at the resistance. My iPad's going to have a number on it. It's going to be 2 and a 5 and a 5 tomorrow morning for Tesla because it rejected that same level in the afternoon. That's going to be pretty key. Less than a minute to go. I don't know if we got to 1,000, but I don't know who's going to be on the bell. We got Refrain heading over to the bell because Katrine looks very, very busy right now. Incredibly busy. She hasn't even turned around. Now you're laughing. Now she's pretending that she's busy, so she's not really. It's fine. Yeah, I know. It's okay. You're sending an email or something. It's fine. Everyone wants to see you ring the bell, but it's okay, Katrine. Refrain is happy to do it. She's spinning the mallet right now, locked and loaded and ready to go. It's been a fun Hump Day Wednesday, but in 5, 4, 3, 2, and party over. And there you have it. The day is done. It was a fun one. It was definitely a bit of a blast here. The market maybe not so green as you can probably see on the screen behind us there. But hey, we're here. We trade every single day. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here every single day that the U.S. markets are open. On Monday, when it's a Canadian holiday, we'll be here anyway. So everyone else in Canada is going to be taking the day off, and we'll be right here for you guys because that's what we do. Do not go anywhere because we've got the after show here with Prep where you can talk about some of those earnings. Shopify, PayPal after the bell, some other names that are important, but I feel like those are the two that we're going to be key on just a little bit here. I want to give a big thank you, of course, to the midday guys because fantastic job done by Obi and Sharif. As they do every single day. And the production team always kicking butt. Fabian and Refrain doing a great job with our social media as well. And we don't always shout them out enough, but Brennan, as always, making sure we are informed and getting our news straight. Bears versus Bulls, big salute to you, handling the chat really well. And my main man, Mark. Mark and Rob, you can't see this, so Mark and Rob, I don't know where Randy is today, but Mark and Rob have been busting their butts, fixing cameras and all over the place the entire day during the show. They're always trying to make things bigger and better for you. You don't always see that, but they put a lot of work in. I don't think I've even seen Mark sitting down in a chair today at any point, which is good for your back, but you can always take a break there, Mark. Thank you to that team as well. For Sean, for myself, for Max, for Brendan, and everybody, we will see you tomorrow. This is Trader TV Live, but hey, it ain't over. You're going straight to Pratt.
That way.
My way. Baby, won't you come my way? It's time for the After Hours show with the earnings and the hottest trades throughout the day, even from yesterday, a couple of them, such as AMD moving all over the place.